Yeah, this is cause for celebration. Breaking out the good stuff tonight. I was trying to wait till the guys got here, but... Oh, hey guys, you almost caught me. I was about to get started without you. It's been a great week, especially as it pertains to the Supreme Court rulings. First of all, earlier in the week, they ruled against New York State's unconstitutional handgun bans. Amazing job. And as if to put the icing on the cake, they finished off the week this Friday. I heard earlier this morning that the Supreme Court reversed the Roe versus Wade decision. I mean, this is amazing. Cause for celebration. So, cheers, everybody, for all of the unborn children out there that will now be saved by this decision, rather than being murdered and just all sorts of atrocious things happening to them. This, in many states, will prevent that from happening, and several states are already coming out and saying they're going to just basically ban abortions altogether. So here we go. Cheers. Oh, man, that's the good stuff. Tito's. I don't get that out very often, but if you're a vodka fan, it doesn't get much better than Tito's handmade vodka. Excellent, excellent stuff. I broke out the good stuff for this occasion. That's how excited I am. So I thought we would do something a little bit different, and we're just going to, have a little bit of a laid back conversation here. We're just going to talk about the decisions. I'm going to kind of go over some of the headlines that I saw today that just brought my spirits up to a new level. I wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions to start off with. One, do you think there will be riots as a result of this Supreme Court ruling? This latest one. They were melting down earlier in the week about the gun decision in New York. And so, I mean, we're seeing signs already and people calling for protests and outright insurrection. So let's get into a couple of these headlines here. And this might help you make your decision of what you think is going to happen. But let me know down in the comments. What are you thinking? Are we going to see like a summer of love like we saw in 2020 during the BLM riots? Is it going to go that extreme, or is it just going to be, smaller protests and really actually peaceful protests? Or is it going to be mostly peaceful protests where cities are burning and things like that and people are being attacked? So let's get into a couple of these headlines, and then I look forward to reading your comments later. So, obviously, you've probably heard by now, unless you're living under a rock, the Supreme Court reversed its Roe versus Wade decision on abortion. And abortion is returned to the states. So, automatically, I was like, all right, this is great. And I didn't expect it to be, so good, though. So many liberals are just screaming at the sky right now as a result of this decision. It's just amazing. So, let's hear what this Democrat representative, Jackie Spear, had to say. She called on pro-abortion activists to armor up because there's a war out there. So, according to their standards, the same standards they used and they're still using to keep the January 6 people locked up without due process, should apply to these people, correct? I mean, if we have equal protection under the law, then those same rules would apply to them, and they should be locking up this representative for trying to incite violence. At least that's my opinion. The DNC chair claims that the Supreme Court is now illegitimate. So isn't that interesting? Anyone that has the most basic understanding of civics and the United States Constitution and how things work know that there are three separate but equal branches of government, right? The executive, the legislative, and the judicial. And they're separate but equal. This person, the DNC chair, is claiming, and that's a high position in the Democrat Party, they're claiming that the Supreme Court is illegitimate. So are they trying to activate their brown shirts with these words like this? I believe they are. Listen to this. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene was attacked by unhinged leftists outside the Supreme Court, and she had to be rushed away by security. There was a little video clip of that. And I actually saw some people trying to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene with the American flag. I mean, for one thing, the irony in that, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the most patriotic Americans that there is. She's excellent. Everything I've seen her do and seen her talk about, she's one of the few people I've ever heard call out the New World Order for what it is. So she's on our side, guys. And for them to come out and attack her and try to hit her with an American flag. Again, I'm seeing the irony there all over that. Shouldn't they be trying to hit her with a communist flag? Those are the views they represent. Communism. So next up, angry leftists surround and abuse pro-life Catholics outside of the Supreme Court. Pro-lifers rejoice. Abortion activists paint their crotches with fake blood. So that's how sick these evil demons are. They're out there painting their crotches with fake blood and going around and trying to basically abuse a bunch of pro-life Catholics. I mean, that's just sick. I'm not a Catholic, but, hey, they have the right to, to their own religion and their own beliefs and stuff like that. And that's just disgusting and sick. And you would think that if the Pope was halfway decent, he'd be calling out this sort of stuff, but he doesn't. He always seems to side with these leftist activists. So that's one of the reasons that I'm not anti-Catholic or anti-Catholicism, but at the same time, I don't understand the whole thing with following the Pope and, pretending like he's been anointed and appointed by God or something. I don't buy it. So listen to this. It's not all good news. California, Oregon, and Washington create a West Coast coalition to provide access to abortions. So just because your state, bans abortions or whatever, maybe you live in Utah or Nevada or someplace like that, well, they'll just go right over the border and get their abortions in California, Oregon, or Washington. My opinion on that is, hey, if you want to go over there and get an abortion, why don't you just move there? Just stay there with your people. And that way, whenever you go out and act irresponsibly in the future and you have to pay for those consequences, somebody there in that state will go ahead and take care of you. At least that's my opinion. We don't want you here in red America, because over here we protect the lives of the innocent. It's the most important thing you can do, in my opinion, especially as a Christian. We're supposed to, we're directed to protect the lives of the innocent. And there's nothing more innocent and more vulnerable than an unborn child. Next up here, abortion activists hand out home address of Justice Clarence Thomas to protesters outside the Supreme Court. I wonder why they're doing that. Are they doing that because they like Clarence Thomas and they're going to go by there and pull some weeds for him and, help him take care of his yard maintenance? No, they're going over there to riot and protest. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this doesn't quickly get out of control, and maybe Thomas and his wife may have to be rushed out of there and taken to a hidden location, because, you can't be at home when people are surrounding your house, protesting, threatening to kill you, and all sorts of manner of other terrible, terrible things that these unhinged brown shirts are going to be doing. It's true. Next up, this is some great news. Tennessee Attorney General files motion to end abortion in the state immediately. Next up, Texas State Attorney General Ken Paxton announces abortions are illegal in Texas. So this is just all great news. If you love life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, which I personally believe every human being that is an American, that's, even if it's unborn, that child should have the right to the pursuit of happiness, to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, this Supreme Court decision totally undoes all of their leftist argument, saying it's a constitutional right for a woman to have an abortion. That is contrary to the ideals of the Constitution and the founding documents of this country. So I'm not going to read it, but President Trump released an official statement on the reversal of Roe versus Wade. And next headline, it begins. Leftist groups announce mass protest outside Justice Clarence Thomas's home tonight. So out there tonight, right now, as we're sitting back, enjoying a little time off work and out of the heat. I don't know about where you guys are, but it's been really hot here in my area, and it's nice to be able to chill in the air conditioning, have a little bit of Tito's to kind of wind down the day. So anyways, busloads of riot police head to the Supreme Court, and there are snipers on the rooftops as leftist terrorists, and that's the biggest threat to America, gear up for another summer of violence. So here they're confirming what I said earlier about the brown shirts are being activated. If you don't know what the brown shirts are, go look it up. I'm not gonna waste time explaining that to most of the people here. Probably know what that is. Next up, more reaction. The pro-abortion left comes unglued as Roe versus Wade is overturned. And I want to go over some of these statements that these political leaders and TV and whatever personalities have made. Pelosi says, there's no point in saying good morning because it certainly is not one. So I mean that just makes my day, knowing that Pelosi had a terrible day because babies are not going to be sacrificed to Moloch anymore. That's just amazing. So I'm sure Lucifer, her boss or her daddy or whatever, is probably giving her a real big stern talking to right now. So so here's Senator Schumer. Today is one of the darkest days our country has ever seen. Millions upon millions of American women are having their rights taken from them by 5 unelected justices on an extremist MAGA court. So isn't that interesting? Why didn't he call it a ultra MAGA or whatever they've been calling it? These people are just, I mean, they're out of their minds. So they're having their rights taken away. See, the thing is Roe versus Wade was a Supreme Court decision. It was not a right that was enumerated in the Bill of Rights. So there never was a right to an abortion. In fact, again, that's contrary to the basic ideals of this country. You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And these are God-given rights or natural rights. They cannot be taken away. But according to these Democrats, it's okay if it's a fetus because they've changed the name on it so they can, whatever, they can justify to themselves murdering an innocent unborn child in the most atrocious ways. New York's Attorney General Letitia James said it was one of the darkest moments in the history of this nation and vowed to keep New York as a haven for those seeking an abortion. So, don't worry if you're a lover of Satan and Moloch. There'll still be places, California, pretty much the left coast, as the late, great Rush Limbaugh used to call it. All of the left coast, you'll still be able to go get your abortion. And in New York, the city of sin, you'll be able to get your abortion there too. Of course, as we all know, the Big Apple is rotten to the core. And if you don't know this about apples, if you have one bad rotten apple, it'll spoil the entire rest of the bunch. So, I don't know, just something to keep in mind there. Democrat Congressman Adam Schiff said, the court's decision to overturn Roe endangers women everywhere by taking away their right to make their own health care choices. The court isn't conservative, it's partisan, with socially backwards agendas. They can't be trusted to protect our rights, so the Congress must. So this guy's basically saying they need to circumvent the judicial branch, and the Congress, the legislative branch, must take care of this. So that's not how it works, Adam Schiff. Your shit has been ruled unconstitutional. Roe versus Wade has been defeated. Hardcore Democrat Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez followed suit, weighing in with her opinion. Criticizing the court for the ruling, she said, overturning Roe and outlawing abortions will never make them go away. It only makes them more dangerous, especially for poor and marginalized. People will die because of this decision, and we will never stop until abortion rights are restored in the United States of America. There they go again, talking about these rights that don't exist. Isn't it funny when people come to them and talk about rights that actually do exist, they try to pretend they don't exist. But then they also, on the other hand, try to make up rights that don't exist as, present them as rights that do exist. It's just this crazy insanity, bizarro world that these liberal communists are living in. It's just unbelievable. Liberal activist Sean King, in usual fashion, shared his thoughts on Friday's ruling. He said, overturning Roe has nothing to do with conservatives loving babies or children, or pregnant mothers, or their safety, or their health. They don't even care a little bit about any of those things. It's all about power and control. And I find that very interesting because that's exactly what the liberals and the communists have been trying to take away from freedom-loving Americans since their inception, since the first time they became Democrats or whatever. I mean, it's just unbelievable how these people are trying to rob us of our freedom, and then on the other side of their mouth they're saying we're the ones taking away freedom from them. It's just it's hard to handle it sometimes. All you can do is pour yourself another shot of Tito's and celebrate the victory of small unborn babies everywhere. Cheers. Oh, that's good stuff. Next up, has-been television host Jon Stewart referred to yesterday's ruling on gun rights and said, perhaps Roe can be salvaged if women reclassify their vaginas as holsters. Ha, 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 ha. Not funny. The dude hadn't been funny since he started shilling for the left, decades ago or whenever that was, over a decade ago. Totally stupid. And of course, what he's talking about is the ruling earlier this week in New York. They're really pissed off about that. So they're trying to say that, oh yeah, we just have to make it into a guns right issue and then the people will care about it. That's complete BS. That's complete BS. Not only is it BS, it's insulting because they're trying to say that, they're trying to equate firearms ownership with a human life. And that is just downright insulting. Former president and current shadow president Barack Obama said, for more than a month, we've known this day was coming, but that doesn't make it any less devastating. Well, let's talk about that for a second. How did they know this day was coming? Which one of their liberal brown shirt communist freaking traitors to the United States was the one that leaked the ruling and got the left and their brown shirts all activated for this very moment right here? Who was that again? Who was that gave them the go ahead on that? It's weird that there's an investigation, ongoing on that, but we haven't heard anything else about it. It's just like they mentioned it, that there was a leaker and they were going to look into that, and now we haven't heard anything. So will we ever find out who that leaker was? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Democrat Senator Jeff Jackson of North Carolina wrote, this election is now about who will defend the freedom of women to make their own choices over their own bodies. I'll vote to codify Roe and protect the rights they've had for 50 years. Taking this freedom away is wrong. So there they go again, talking about protecting the rights that they've had for 50 years, as if this is like one of the amendments in the Bill of Rights. It's not. It never was. It was a Supreme Court ruling. So it's unbelievable how far these people will reach to try to make something appear law when it never was law. It was a Supreme Court ruling, and other decisions were based upon that, and that was precedence, and now that has been thrown out. It will not be considered anymore. It's going back to the states' rights. It doesn't mean abortion is illegal, but it means the states have the rights to decide whether abortion is going to be performed there in their state or not, or legal in their state or not. So, if you're one of these people that, likes to go out and be irresponsible and, not use birth control or not use abstinence or whatever to protect yourself from getting pregnant, and you don't want your life, being taken away from you, then you probably ought to move to the left coast or New York City. It sounds like a really good place for you to live. The hard left senator, Ed Markey, said, the Supreme Court has overruled Roe versus Wade, executing a decades-long far-right plot to destroy the constitutional right to abortion and forever eroding any semblance of legitimacy this stolen court once held. There can be no question now that we must expand the Supreme Court. So this freaking communist is saying he knows better. He's a freaking senator. I'm not sure what state he's in. Ed Markey, if he's in your state, let me know where that is. Senator Ed Markey, a U.S. senator, has the gall to come out and say that Roe versus Wade was a constitutional right that the far right has been plotting to destroy. This is just insanity that couldn't be further from the truth. So, just unbelievable. I mean, for a sitting U.S. senator to be able to come out with a straight face and say that Roe v. Wade was a constitutional right is just completely, just unbelievable. I can't believe we're in a time where people in government don't actually know the basics of the Constitution. It's just unbelievable. Or if they do know it, they're pretending or they're omitting those facts so that they can make their communist point to destroy the United States of America. That's what they're trying to do. They want to kill people. Any side that's trying to kill people are the bad guys. And my audience knows that, so I'm preaching to the choir here. Big Mike had to chime in. If you don't know, that's former First Lady Michelle Obama. She said she is heartbroken for those impacted by the ruling. She goes on to lament the lives of the teenage girls who are impacted by pregnancy and would not be able to finish school or live the life they want. She said without the choice to kill an unborn child, many would be carrying an undue burden. Well, how about they think about that before they, get in the sack with somebody? I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. There's one way to ensure, guarantee 100% that you don't ever get pregnant or have to face the abortion clinic. How is that? You don't have sex until you're married. No premarital sex. Maybe there was something to that whole deal in the Bible. So here's the next headline. Furious Michelle Obama slams the SCOTUS decision to overturn Roe versus Wade, calls on Americans to protest. I wonder, do they mean mostly peaceful protests like in 2020, or do they mean actually real peaceful protests where people go out and they speak in disagreement, but they do it civilly, and they're not like burning cities down and stuff like that? I mean, is that too much to ask? Joe Biden attacks Trump in the speech on Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. And of course, again, it's always deflection with Joe Biden and his administration. Anytime somebody says, hey, Joe, why are the fucking gas prices so astronomical? No one can afford them. He goes, oh, it's Putin's fault. And then you say something else about the economy, and he's like, oh, that's Trump's fault, or that's COVID. Or you say something about the border being wide open, that's Trump's fault, or there's no problem. They won't even address it, So, I mean, again, this is insanity. Here's what Maxine Waters, the insurrectionist, had to say. To hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them. So, yeah. Justice Department releases a statement on Roe versus Wade. Garland vows to use every tool to fight the states on abortion. So I wonder what he means by that. What does he mean? He's going to use every tool to fight the states on abortion. Don't the states have a 10th Amendment right to basically make their own rules if it's not written in the Constitution? I'm pretty sure it's the 10th Amendment. I may be wrong on that, but I know it's definitely enumerated in the Bill of Rights. Anything that's not decided by the Constitution goes to the states, and that's how it should be. So what's their problem with this? Their problem with this is it takes out the federal government's ability to basically sanction murdering children by the millions every year. And of course, a buddy of mine told me years ago, and I never really thought about it until he said this, but he goes, have you ever noticed that, and this was way back in the day before, before Biden kicked the door wide open and rolled out the red carpet on the southern border. But my buddy said, hey, have you ever noticed that almost the exact same number, or real near the same number of people that are aborted every year are how many they're importing into our country? And the UN has a little plan called replacement migration. You should really go do a deep dive on that and learn all about it. That's exactly what's going on right now on our southern border. So all hell is breaking loose, guys. We can't just stop and spike the football and say the fight's over, everything's done. This is a major victory. It is a major victory, but we've got many, many more fights ahead of us. These people will not stop until they destroy the United States of America. So I think that's their goal. That's their mission. That's their mission statement. They've said they want to destroy the nuclear family. I mean, they want to make sacrifices to Moloch. They want to abort babies, human being babies. And we're going to have to do our parts. In the states where, like Texas and Tennessee were two of the states that said they're going to ban abortion across the board, the conservatives and the Republicans and the libertarians, we're going to have to stand up and pick up the slack and adopt those children. We're going to have to take action, guys, and make sure that those kids have a happy home to grow up in, a happy conservative home, because good homes breed good people, breed good young adults, and good young adults make good future leaders. That's how we have to do this. That's how we have to fight back this communist subversion that's been attacking and demoralizing our country for at least the last 50 to 75 years. So this is really great news, guys. I'm really stoked about this whole deal. It's the best mood I've been in a while. But we can't let our guard down. We got to keep our guard up. We got to keep going, keep on prepping, keep on trying to become more self-sufficient, self-reliant, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for you. And that's how it's supposed to be in the land of the free, the home of the brave. So I appreciate you tuning in. Let me know what you guys are thinking, how you're feeling about this. Have a shot of Tito's on me to celebrate tonight. Tomorrow we got to get up early and get back to work. I stand for liberty. I hope you do too.